In June of 2023, the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors teased a massive upcoming event. Known as the GASWC, the Georgia-based Collectors Club posted an image on its social media group page. The image was of the door of a building you'd find on Tatooine, in the Mos Eisley spaceport. The words, "Rogue Fun is coming," were spray-painted in yellow and blue on the door. And the image was accompanied by the message, "Rogue Fun is coming. More details will arrive in about a month, but keep May 4th, 2024 open." The club hosted its annual summer social gathering the following month. Shortly after, Star Wars fans received more hints as to what Rogue Fun would entail. Against a summer-tinged pink and purple background with yellow highlights, the first Rogue Fun logo appeared. It echoed the Rogue One movie logo, but instead of the words "A Star Wars Story" underneath it, the text read, "A GASWC Weekend." And curious collectors finally had an idea of what was awaiting them in May of 2024. The image also contained a description of the event, described as, quote, "a 3-day collector-focused event that will include panels, open collection tours, special guests, food, swag, and most importantly, our friends from across the galaxy." Rogue Fun would take place in Kennesaw, Georgia, during the weekend of May 4th. At the end of August, the club premiered the event's poster. It mimicked the Rogue One poster with Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor, and the Rebel team storming the beaches of Scarif, fighting a battalion of stormtroopers under a bright blue sky. And hovering over the battle amongst the clouds was a Death Star-shaped peach, a nod to Georgia's nickname, the Peach State. The trio behind the event were GASWC members Jason Wilsuko, Narayan Naik, and Glenn Williams. In September, Jason shared the first panel of the event, focusing on the rise and fall of Sears, and the company's relationship with the Star Wars brand and the Kenner toys. He also announced planned tours of his collection, as well as trips to the homes of Narayan, Glenn, and local Star Wars obsessive Tim Connor, who had turned his entire house into a top-to-bottom Star Wars museum. On the evening of Friday, September 29th, 110 tickets went on sale for the event. Selling tickets to a collector's meetup often takes time. As word of mouth spreads, more and more tickets will disappear with the mounting anticipation and excitement. But the larger events may take days, or even weeks or months to sell out. I had planned on going, and after the announcement, figured I would buy my ticket the next day. But within 2 or 3 hours, the number of tickets sold climbed, as collectors chimed in on the page and claimed them. Before I went to sleep that night, I purchased my pass for Rogue Fun, and I'm so thankful I did. By hour number 4 after the release, all 110 tickets were sold out. And the waitlist for tickets stretched 20 or 30 names long by the morning. Rogue Fun was officially a must-attend gathering. Whether it was the fact that the Georgia crew were hosting a collector's meetup in a year in which there was no Star Wars Celebration convention, or the chance to be together in a warmer climate during the spring enticed collectors from all over the country to sign up for this inaugural event, the collectors had spoken. And they wanted to be in Georgia that spring. And by the time May the 4th, 2024 arrived, Rogue Fun would become one of the best Star Wars-themed meetups of all time. This is the story of that life-changing, unforgettable weekend in Kennesaw, Georgia. This is what it was like to take over an entire hotel for a long weekend, with 200 other Star Wars fans and collectors. This is a collection of memories, panels, conversations, and moments that will certainly make you want to attend the next event. This is part 1, the beginning of Rogue Fun. And this is Star Wars, Prototypes and Production.
From Coruscant to Tatooine, and every planet in between, Star Wars, prototypes and production, with your host, David Quinn.
Vader.
It's a trap!
Yes, Master.
Whoa, we're gonna have company!
Have to stand and fight.
The more you tighten your grip, John, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
The Force will be with you, always.
Before we travel to Kennesaw, Georgia, I wanted to give you a little insight as to why I'm doing this series. Rogue Fun was not a commercial event. There were no corporations behind it, no massive companies looking to capitalize on a fan base. Instead, it was simply an idea that 3 members of the Georgia Alliance sought to answer. How do we create a local event that could potentially appeal to collectors across the country and around the world? What can we do to bring all of our friends to Kennesaw in the name of Star Wars and of collecting? And just like the movie Rogue One showed the birth of the rebellion from a small rebel cell, Rogue Fun stirred a groundswell of emotions among collectors from various regional clubs. It brought together many who had never met previously, and it became the starting point for lifelong friendships and future adventures. It's a testament to the creativity and vision those within our community possess. They use Star Wars and a shared love for the franchise as a foundation, and they construct meetups and events to build relationships between collectors. And the results are often profoundly special. Some of the largest Star Wars collector gatherings, the International Collector events known as ICE, began in 2013. They generally occur once every 2 years in a different part of the United States. Each ICE event includes tours of local residents' collections, and they offer a group of over 100 attendees to take part in activities exclusive to that region. The New York ICE event of 2018 inspired the Empire State Club to create a similar experience a year later, which was titled The Annual and included collector panels in a hotel ballroom, group meals, a boat cruise, and collection tours. And in some ways, the success of 2 annual events in the Northeast sparked the Georgia Club to create something similar in 2024. And the Georgia members were able to expand upon the idea and to put a fresh and exciting spin on what a collector's event could be. And this is why I wanted to share the story of Rogue Fun with you. If you've never heard of it, I wanted it to be on your radar before the next one was announced. If you've seen photos of it, or talked to other collectors about it, or if you've listened to some of the panels from that Saturday on this podcast, you've likely only received a sliver of that story, and how incredible the weekend truly was. Instead, I wanted to give you a full-access tour of the entire trip, from driving down to Georgia on Wednesday and Thursday until the official end of the event that Sunday. And I think a series like this is important for 3 reasons. Number 1, there are so many great moments worth capturing from it. And over time, those memories tend to fade. So these episodes will serve to keep Rogue Fun as sharp and as detailed as when it was first experienced. Number 2, if you weren't able to be there, I want you to feel like you had attended. I want you to come away with a better understanding of the weekend and what actually occurred in Georgia. And I want you to know why I, and many others, consider it to be one of the best Star Wars collectors meetups ever. And number 3, I want you to want to be at the next event. Many of the wonderful moments I've experienced as a collector came from a friend suggesting I join them. And often, the ones I took a chance on and attended were some of the all-time highlights. With Rogue Fun, 200 collectors took part in that weekend. And when you have that many serious and passionate and creative members of the community in one location, the possibilities for greatness are endless. So that's a little of the magic of an event like Rogue Fun. We have a 2-day trek ahead of us, so if you'll take the ride with me, I'll give you more of an overview of the weekend during our drive. So let's return to the spring of 2024 at the beginning of the Rogue Fun trip. Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. In the days leading up to the trip, I had tried to prepare myself mentally for what I expected would be a long and arduous drive. I figured the first day on the road would be the toughest, as I would be in the car for 8 or 9 hours. The second day would be shorter, at 6. But Wednesday's ride to Virginia couldn't have been better. For the amount of time I spent driving, the day went so quickly. I spoke with different family members along the way, and I was able to catch up with friends as I drove through New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Driving for long stretches can make me tired. You know the feeling where you're struggling to keep your eyes open, and so you turn up the music and open the windows. Really, anything to jolt you back to being wide awake and focused again. Anything that will help you to get to your destination. But I didn't feel tired at all. I felt excited. But if I'm being completely honest, I felt some anxiety about the week ahead. From speaking to Jason, Glenn, and Orion, I knew how much work and time went into crafting Rogue Fun. But would everyone attending fully buy into it? Would Rogue Fun truly be a weekend we experience together as a group? Or would it merely serve as a meeting spot, only to have collectors splinter into smaller circles? During one part of the ride, I spoke with a dear friend, Kyle Rose, for about an hour. And that conversation impacted the next few days in a way I've never experienced. Our friends often give us the perspective we lack. Their words become a larger mirror to show us how they see us, who we are and who we can be, and the effect we can have on others. And what he said to me opened my eyes. He reminded me that we have the ability to connect with people in meaningful ways, and a collector's trip affords us those moments. He encouraged me to step out of my comfort zone and lean into those connections, to make each moment matter. And he said that the excitement and kindness I showed toward others would have a positive effect, and maybe a lasting effect, on how they remembered the weekend. And all of that made sense. My time at these meetups have been profoundly marked by the interactions I had with collectors. In the weeks and months after each ended, I was constantly reminded of the funny and connective moments, and they blazed a fire within me that stayed lit until the next meetup or event. And so the goal became to pay that kindness forward. My physiology changed. I saw the hours and days ahead of me in a completely different light. It empowered me, not to focus inwardly, but to go into the event with a determination to uplift others, to make the most meaningful connections possible. And I wanted to do what my friend did for me, and to be a mirror to others, to show each person how special they were, and how thankful I was to spend the weekend with them. That conversation changed my entire outlook on the weekend. And while Kyle couldn't be with us in person, his words stayed with me, ringing in my ears each day and reminding me how fortunate I was to experience an event like this. I was ready for Rogue Fun to begin. The night before the trip, I had selected 4 potential towns as destination points. And I would stop at one at the end of the first day's drive, depending on how far I traveled. And by 6 o'clock that evening, I had managed to drive more than 500 miles that day and pulled into Wytheville, the furthest town on the list. After checking into the hotel and bringing everything in my car up to my room, I sought out a spot for dinner. Usually on these collector trips, I like to try the restaurants that the locals recommend. The ones that are mom and pop restaurants, or are hidden gems where the residents frequent. This would not be the case in Wytheville. There were only a few places near the hotel, and the last thing I wanted to do at that point was to drive any further. So I picked an Applebee's. I was familiar with the food, and I was fine with it, especially after a long ride. The Wyethville Applebee's was structured like every other Applebee's restaurant that peppers the Northeast. Except in this one, easy melodies of modern country music filled the atmosphere from the moment I opened the door. The crowd inside was a mix of those finishing their earlier dinners and ones getting ready to spend the next few hours eating and drinking. I tucked myself into a corner booth along the outskirts of the bar. I had completed my drive and had landed at my resting spot for the evening, feeling totally relaxed and happy. And hungry. As I flipped through the menu, the sounds from the bar grew louder. I couldn't tell if they had been there the entire time and I had been oblivious to them, or if the conversations had started up after I was seated. People laughed and shouted to one another from across the U-shaped island. 4 women, clearly on their next drink, boisterously sang along to the parade of songs that rolled from the speakers. The tones and the tempos changed from the end of one to the start of another, but the women knew every word. They were putting on a show of their own. As the waitress finished taking my order, she followed my eyes back to the bar and said, "They're here all the time. They used to work here." She rolled her eyes and sighed before leaving me. While I waited for my food to arrive, the day finally caught up to me. It hit me all at once, and I truly felt tired. It was 7:30. I glanced out the window next to me, surprised to see the sun still hovering in the sky. But I soon realized I was currently enjoying the best part of the spring. The days were growing longer. The weather was getting warmer. And another calm wave rippled through me. I was on vacation. At that moment, the song changed. It was one I had never heard before. The tempo was slower than the last few, and its shuffle had a magnetic pull. I couldn't tell if the melody was one of heartbreak or longing, but it was a coat I've worn before. And the song began to fill the room. It was the strangest feeling. While I appreciate country music, it's not a genre that generally pops up on any of my playlists or feeds. And I don't know if it was from being in another state, and maybe in another state of mind, and listening to the inebriated quartet singing along with the rest of the patrons at the bar. But the song instantly connected with me. It opened with a 3-line stanza. A heart on the run keeps a hand on a gun. Can't trust anyone. And from that moment, I was hooked. I grabbed my phone and began typing the lyrics that I could make out as they warbled from the speakers. The singer's name was Morgan Wallen, and the song, originally by singer-songwriter Jason Isbell, was called Cover Me Up. It quickly dug its claws into me and wouldn't let go. I downloaded the album to my phone, reading some of the lyrics through eyelids growing heavier by the moment as I ate my hamburger, with a chorus of drunken diners singing its forlorn praises. It was a strangely powerful, unexpected moment. I was so thankful to be in that Applebee's in Wyethville, Virginia, on my way to Georgia. I was so thankful that this was the start to my trip. And I knew the song and the album would likely serve as the soundtrack for the rest of the week. Once I was back in my room, cleaned up and in pajamas, I propped my phone against my angled knees as I lay in bed, and prepared to watch the finale of the animated Star Wars series The Bad Batch, which premiered that evening. I expected the finale to be similar in length to the previous episodes, at 30 minutes or less. But The Bad Batch apparently had a lot to cover before it concluded, and it ran for almost an hour. I fought to keep my eyes open, but the sun-soaked hours spent on the road earlier that day made focusing difficult. Still, I pushed myself to finish it. After all, I knew that it would likely be a conversation topic among collectors for the weekend. and once I arrived in Georgia, the chances of staying spoiler-free would be nearly impossible. By the time this final scene faded and the end credits rolled, I had crossed the line from being tired to being overtired. And I was awake, buzzing though exhausted. I checked off some of the items on my travel list that I failed to accomplish while still home, and went over some of the prototypes and production pieces I brought with me to trade and to sell at room sales. Having accomplished a few menial tasks, my mind relaxed enough to be tired again, and I finally drifted off to sleep, ready to continue the drive in the morning. Thursday, May 2nd, 2024. My alarm went off at 6 a.m., and I woke up from what had been a deep and restful sleep. Pulling back the curtains, the orange-tinted light bled into the formerly darkened room. I showered, packed the rest of my belongings, and shuttled my luggage, prototypes and all, down to my car. The air was crisp, and the weather was already warmer than I'd expected. Unlike yesterday, I felt mission-minded, as I knew I had to be somewhere by 3 o'clock that afternoon. And with a planned lunch stop, I knew I'd be cutting it close. In the days before leaving for Georgia, I had decided to submit some loose and carded Star Wars figures to the grading company Action Figure Authority, known to collectors as AFA. AFA is based in Duluth, a town about 35 minutes east from the hotel hosting the Rogue Fun event. So I figured I would drop off my figures in person. This would not only save me the hefty shipping costs, but would also give me peace of mind that my items wouldn't break in transit, since I'm likely more careful with packages than UPS or the post office. Visiting AFA has been on my collector's bucket list since I first learned about the company in 2012. I had not submitted anything to AFA since before the pandemic began, as the costs and turnaround times rose substantially during the COVID-era collectibles frenzy. I had gotten to know a number of the people who worked there over the previous decade, and was always pleased with the customer service and the graded results. The company recently moved from a smaller building in Norcross, Georgia, to a larger facility in Duluth. I had scheduled a drop-off with a friend from AFA for 3 p.m. My original plan was to drive to the Hilton Garden Inn in Kennesaw, where I would be staying for the weekend, before heading to AFA. But I figured out I'd save an hour by traveling to AFA first. And with the car packed, the GPS set, and the clock ticking, I began the second half of my trip on I-81, heading to Georgia. I arrived to the complex containing AFA's headquarters with 20 minutes to spare, and I sacrificed stopping for lunch to make sure I was on time. My friend greeted me at the door and buzzed us into AFA's waiting room. I knew he would be the first familiar face I'd see on this collector's trip. That realization hit me earlier that morning during my drive. It appeared at random points in the trip, and each time I choked up at the thought of seeing my friends again. I would be meeting some collectors for the very first time, some that I've gotten to know through our hobby. But the pandemic became a barricade, halting the momentum of the community events and blocking many of us from being together during those years. I knew I'd also be seeing collectors I hadn't seen in years. The last time I was in the room with some of them was at the New York annual event during the 2022 Labor Day weekend. There were others I hadn't seen since before the pandemic began, at conventions that have relocated to other venues since we last toured them together. There were people coming in from Seattle, from Texas, from California, from Arizona, from Wisconsin, from Illinois, from the Midwest and Southeast. There would be the ones I see more often, from the tri-state area, from Washington, D.C., and from some of the regions closer to where I lived. And there were those awaiting all of us from the Southeast, ready to welcome collectors to their home state. And my friend from AFA was one of them. He appeared slightly older, more confident from when I first met him, but with the same Zen-like attitude that made conversations with him memorable. He was in a healthy place in life, in a relationship with a girl from our community who many of us know and love. And I was thankful to hear they were building a life together and that he had found his niche in our hobby. We discussed the events of the weekend and which parts of the event he'd be able to attend. In a way, it felt like arriving back to college a few days early and excitedly anticipating the coming semester with a floor mate. If the previous night's Applebee's dinner kicked off the trip, the time spent in the AFA waiting room with my friend was the unofficial start to Rogue Fun. And being in that waiting room was a reminder of how far I traveled on my collecting journey as well. When I began submitting figures for grading in 2012, I didn't know any other collectors. It was something I did in isolation because I loved the figures from my childhood and appreciated the grading and authenticating process. But I longed to find others who shared a similar passion for Star Wars and for collecting. It truly seemed like an abstract idea, that a community of like-minded individuals existed, but I had hoped to find them someday, just to speak to them about a hobby that captivated each of us. But I couldn't imagine where my interest would take me. And I never expected to meet so many people who shared that passion in the process. And now, my friend and I would be joining almost 200 of our fellow collectors for an unforgettable weekend in Kennesaw, Georgia. At this point, it was 4 o'clock. As hungry as I was from skipping lunch, after leaving AFA, I decided to head west to the host hotel in Kennesaw. According to the GPS, it was a 35-minute trip, and I figured I'd check into the hotel and drop off my belongings before finding a restaurant. However, I quickly learned I chose the wrong time to travel in the Atlanta region. Driving I-85 was worse than the New Jersey Turnpike and even parts of New York City. It was like playing a real-life game of Mario Kart, but with fewer turtle shells and more accidents. What should have taken a little more than a half hour turned into an hour and a half. I arrived at the Hilton Garden Inn in Kennesaw around 5:30. As I pulled into the parking lot, I could see the spacious outdoor courtyard that would likely be a collector's meeting spot for the next few days. An array of lush plants and trees formed a border around the hotel, isolating it from the bustle of the busy world occurring only yards away. It was almost an instant transition. 1 minute you were in a hot car changing lanes, and the next, you were on vacation. As I exited my car for the first time in that parking lot, the rhythms and realities of normal life slipped away, and the carefree days of the best vacations from childhood returned. Okay, so this is day 2 of my trip. I started out the morning in a great way. I managed to snag a prototype that I needed for my collection. A friend alerted me to it, and I was able to pick it up, which is great. So that's always a nice way to start a trip. And then I proceeded to drive about 5.5 hours. I actually went to AFA for the first time, dropped off some items that I've had since pretty much, I guess, during the pandemic, but I haven't dropped anything off since before the pandemic because the wait times, the turnaround times were too long. So I stopped there and met up with a friend, which was fantastic, and we caught up for a little while. But I just arrived at the Hilton Garden Inn, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I don't see any of our friends yet, but there are many different license plates. So I'm sure that some are here and maybe they're out right now, but I'm just going to get some dinner. Before I do that, though, I'm going to bring everything up to my room, sort it all out. And now the weekend officially begins. It's pretty special. So we have really 3.5 days to look forward to. I'm hoping a lot of people come tonight, and it should be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see the first person. That's always really exciting. That's when you know it's official. So haven't seen anybody at the hotel yet, but hopefully soon. As I walked through the front doors, I expected to see collectors I knew, but the lobby was almost completely empty. It was hard to imagine that the first collectors meetup would occur later that night. I felt like I had mistakenly arrived a few days early. The Hilton was the perfect host hotel. The lobby was a mix of white, gray, and beige. It was airy and open, with soft lights embedded in the recesses, illuminating the ceiling. Elongated pods hung overhead, lighting up the center of the room. White rectangular columns surrounded a lounge area of cushioned furniture directly in front of me. To my far left was a small but modern conference room, surrounded by windows. To my right was a series of white-topped tables and thin gray chairs, with a bar and food station located along the back wall. The main desk was located along the back of the wall to the left, next to a hallway that I assumed led to the rooms. I checked in and headed toward the elevator to find my room. A sign on the lobby's wall read, "Hilton Garden Inn welcomes Rogue Fun, a GASWC weekend," with an arrow pointing toward the veranda ballroom. I opted not to walk down the hallway to the ballroom just yet, as it felt like a groom seeing the bride before the ceremony. My hotel room was located on the 5th floor, a few yards from the elevator. The entrance was a darker, narrow hall with an open cubbyhole cabinet on my immediate left, for storing clothes and shoes. The bathroom was located across from it to my right. And walking a few feet beyond the hall, the room opened up to a long and large bedroom. White linens and white walls among light-colored furniture with sandy brown accents. Touches of blue ran through the curtains and on the cloth at the bottom of my bed. Like the lobby, it was airy and open, and it was mine for the next 4 nights. I brought my suitcase, my bags, and my bins of Star Wars collectibles up to my hotel room and laid out some of my clothes on the king-size bed. And after putting most of the items in drawers and in spots along the room's main wall, I headed back downstairs to tour the town. During a collector trip, one of the first things I like to do is to run to a local grocery store and to pick up some food items for the room, especially if I'm going to be in one location for a few days. I drove across the street from the hotel to a large shopping plaza. The Kennesaw area was a perfect one. It had all of the stores and restaurants a person could want, and they were essentially in walking distance. At the same time, the area around the hotel was quiet and was surrounded by trees and foliage in such a way that it felt like a private resort. I headed into the grocery chain Aldi's and picked up some avocados, some naan bread, and some bottles of water. I had been obsessed with these simple sandwiches that consisted of half an avocado, the naan, and a little salt, and I wanted to make sure I had them with me while I was in Georgia. They're light but filling, and they're delicious. I started calling them Baby Yodas because they looked like the little green Grogu wrapped in a beige robe. After stocking up on food, I returned to a busier hotel lobby, one that featured a number of familiar faces. Toronto's Toby Black, Ohio's Joel Slater, and Georgia's own Tony Johnson were seated around one of the rectangular white tables. And the sight of a carded 12-back figure signaled the collector's weekend had officially begun for me in that moment. Okay, so it's literally 6:30. We're here for maybe 45 minutes, and we already have the first deal of the day done. And I feel like we're back at FonzCon because I'm hanging out with 2 gentlemen who were there. So, gentlemen.
David.
Hello. Toby.
Oh, you wanted to know what my name was?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to have you introduce
yourself. I beg your pardon. Well, call me Mr. Toby Black, yeah.
Mr. Toby Black and...
Joel Slater.
And...
Tony Johnson. I was not at FonzCon.
No, he wouldn't. But now it feels like you're
Only in spirit.
only in spirit. Absolutely, like Obi-Wan.
It's like no time has passed since we've seen Tony.
I'm still hungover from Foxconn.
So what did you wind up purchasing, and who did you get it from?
Well, still not a purchase yet.
Or a deal.
But we're working on it. A 12-back Chewbacca.
And the price tag on it is $239, so it's not bad.
I think I can make that.
It's a little high. I would have gone to $1.99, but sure, that's fine. So what's special about this one?
It's just one of the last two 12-backs that I need. So I just need Chewbacca and Luke. So that'll take me down to just the one I need.
Fantastic. It looks beautiful. Do you know what back that is?
Tony.
It's a 12B.
12B? Okay.
I think.
Okay, let's see.
So I didn't even notice. I didn't, because I'm
It's
not.
a B. That's a B.
Yes.
I'm never too concerned with what. 12-back, of course, but not what version of the 12-back.
Okay. And Tony, how did you know it was a B? What is it? What's the indicator on the back?
For me, it's the longer second paragraph for the lightsaber and the word free in bold.
Okay. So free in bold, where it says collectors actually stand free with proofs of purchase, and then instead of saying pull arm lever forward, it says push arm lever. Okay, very cool. All right, so
David, what do you after? You know what? No one ever asks you questions. What are you after this weekend? What do you want to find? You want Ahsoka prototypes and all that other good. What you're always
Clone
after.
Wars Black Series.
You got it?
Yeah. So I picked up a piece from my collection this morning online, which was good. So I kind of a deal before I got here.
Still counts.
Still counts.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm looking. So we have a number of modern Star Wars prototype collectors who will be coming into to the hotel and to the area.
Ah, nice.
And so yeah, so
You're not here at a chance. You got
brought some stuff.
You got irons in the
wheel
fire.
deal.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully.
Good.
So
Nice.
You never know what'll turn up at a place like this. Is there anything that you're looking for?
Canadian crap. I got a Jawa focus going on, and I think I've started a cloud car pilot focus. I know you don't brag about those sorts of things, but I actually have a cloud car pilot focus. I don't know.
You said clown car pilot focus?
Yeah. Did I?
It sounded like it.
It's been long. I'd love another one. Yeah, please. Thank you. I got a cloud car pilot focus. I don't know. It's the browns and the oranges. I like it. It looks like an old 70s basement.
I feel the same. I have an affinity for the cloud car pilot.
Okay, yeah, all right, cool. And it was also like, no one got excited about the figure, but when you look at it, it's a pretty good sculpt. Mm-hmm. Came with two accessories. I don't know. I'm liking it.
What's the piece that caused this, that kind of got the ball rolling for it?
That I have?
Yes.
No, and I haven't. I've just got very common American ones. There is a Canadian those transition stickers?
Yes.
Yeah, we got it. He came on a transition. Of all those, what are those ones called that came in those boxes? They're foreign. Made of like lead.
What model Trem?
Yeah, the Trem ones. Mm-hmm. His one is like the craziest of all of them, I think. And I don't know if I'd go down that route necessarily. I mean, I'd love to have one, but those, I don't know. I'd say.
But I mean, what? So it wasn't a particular item that you.
No, it's the color scheme, and sometimes that works. You know what I mean with people when it comes to like what's your figure? Mm-hmm. Biker Scout, his green really punches against the white or whatever. Yeah, for me, it's the very 70s rec room kind of color of the Cloud Car Pilot.
Okay, so Canadian stuff.
Canadian stuff, Cloud Car Pilots, Jawas. Yeah, I think I'd be happy. Oh, you know what else? I want to get a couple Power of the Force, graded loose Power of the Force. I'd be down with just like figures.
Okay.
We didn't have them in Canada. We had no Power of the Force whatsoever. The line.
I might have some with me.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
all right,
talk.
cool.
I might. I have to check. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
Any one in particular? Is there something that you'd like to take?
No, that's the fun part about it. I have two, so
so you can go.
I'm real open. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think I was going to bring them, and I don't know if I did, because I was like, I don't know if anyone would want any Power of the Force loose stuff.
You're staying in the hotel.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. That's why you're here. We're on the 4th floor. Are we? No, we're on the 2nd floor. Are we close to you?
No, I'm on 5.
You're up on the 5th.
Yeah.
All right.
But no, but we'll have later on.
You got it. Yeah. Cool.
We'll have
now, are you here till Sunday?
Here till Monday.
Here till Monday. Very nice. Good.
Joel, what are you looking for?
Well, of course, adding a 12-back would be awesome.
My friend has a 12-back Chewbacca that might be interested in.
Nice.
Besides that, I don't know. Not really much. Just a lot of times it's just whatever catches my eye.
Okay.
So I'm not really big into prototypes, but I'm never against getting into prototypes. Just haven't really found what I might be looking for.
Mm-hmm. They're fun because it's really competitive and it's very expensive. So two great things going.
Yeah, just exactly what you need to get into.
Okay, all right.
I was saying this about Joel earlier. This is actually, I mean this. This is a good characteristic to have. Joel will also sometimes, I've seen this, I speak on behalf of you. You'll go to a toy show, and he could pick up sometimes a $10 or a $15 item, and it just makes him totally happy that he got it. I think that's awesome. You know,
what's the last 10 or $15
here's a real
item
nice
you
piece
pick
that
up?
goes against exactly what I just said. But like,
12A.
it's cool. I've seen them sometimes. You know, get the odd figure or something. I can't remember where we were. We were in, I don't know, Xenia or something once. And like,
Xenia, I bought
900 tables, and you bought like a couple loose figures.
I bought an Ugnaught with a faded brown smock
great. Yeah.
for $10, and that's all I left with. At least on the Friday.
I'd like to be a
setup.
little bit more that guy. That's a good characteristic to have.
Yeah, that's always kind of fun. I did that recently. I picked up a Chewbacca with faded limbs, a different color. Like the body is different from the limbs, and or I should say the body's different from the arms and different from the legs as well.
Oh, nice.
So it's kind of a strange one. And
So it's not that green thing that either is or isn't real. It's an actual. Well, I mean, the green one is just discoloration, but his discoloration happened on different fronts.
yeah, like the arms are a different color than the legs, which is a different color than the body.
torso.
So I've never seen one like that, and it just looks kind of cool. So I think I brought it with me too. So I'll
Chewbacca was the very first figure to get teeth, like with painted teeth.
Really?
Well, yeah, if you think about it.
What was Boba Fett?
Say that again? No. All right, cool. Nice, yeah.
Okay, so Tony, what are you looking for? What would you like to get?
I don't know. I'm kind of keeping an open mind. I mean, I'm doing looking for loose last 17 figures. I decided to complete that.
I also
in a
have
timely
loose
fashion.
He just picked up
last
one.
17, and I was going to bring them, but I decided not to. Okay, nice. And which one is this one?
It's Barada.
I love the Barada figure. It was one of the ones that I got I got the Dungeon playset, and it came with 3 of the Power of the Force figures, but they weren't listed as Power of the Force figures. They were listed under the Return of the Jedi logo, and so I had no idea that Power of the Force ever existed. And I just
That's how you found out. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Okay, so is there a specific one you'd like besides Barada?
Pretty much any of them. I mean, I have like 4 or 5.
Okay,
right
so
now.
you're in the
I'm
same boat as
pretty
Tony
open,
then.
yeah.
Nice.
Someone hit me with them.
Would you be happy with, say, a Luke Stormtrooper?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool.
Well, a fool would be unhappy. Do you know?
His little pea head.
Do you know your lightsabers on those? I get so lost with the right lightsaber for the pop-up R2 versus the droids one.
I do.
I do have a pop-up R2, so I don't have to worry about that.
I got you. That's similar. Doesn't Brazil have a different lightsaber?
So the Glass Lead one, which from Brazil is a lighter green. It's it's a noticeably lighter green, and then your Power of the Force R2 with pop-up saber that has sort of like a mid-range green, a standard green, and then your droids one is darker.
Gotcha. Okay. Is this safe to say the darker green one is always going to be droids?
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, I believe so. Everything that I've ever seen.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Here's a good one. How do you know if a Ben Kenobi figure is Lily Letty?
Because it says Lily Letty on the forehead.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, that's the obvious one. No,
is it the beard?
No, it's his finger on the hilt. You know, like the little hole that the lightsaber comes in.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, the finger like hangs over a little bit.
Okay, whereas the other one is curled.
Yeah, it's just before the end of the light hole, the saber hole, the shaft hole. Okay. Yeah.
No idea.
You'll edit that anyway. Yeah. But no, I think that is actually a legitimate thing. That a Lily Letty Ben Kenobi, that's how you tell the finger tip hangs over top of where the lightsaber would come.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Clean as I can make that. I could also be completely wrong, but I think that's an actual.
So then, would it be essentially a slightly different sculpt?
I guess so. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, it might be.
I spoke with the guys for a while, and it felt like I was back at one of the ICE events, or at one of the larger collecting meetups like the New York Annual. They were heading over to the home of Jason Wilsuko, one of Rogue Fun's co-creators, for a kickoff event. Titled Rogue One Under the Stars, Jason was hosting a meetup in his backyard, where those who arrived early for the Rogue Fun would be able to hang out and catch up with other collectors. And in sticking with the theme, Jason would be projecting the Rogue One film onto a large screen later that evening. I knew that if I went to Jason's with the guys, that I probably wouldn't eat, I'd spend most of my time chatting with everyone, which is what I tend to do. But since I skipped lunch to make my AFA appointment, I was too hungry. So I decided to run to a nearby restaurant, grab a hearty dinner, and then head back to the room to shower and then stop by Jason's. There was something really special about seeing a small group of friends before the true festivities began. These meetups never feel real until you're surrounded by those you know and who share the same love of collecting as you. You can daydream about what the event will be like in the days leading up to it. You can try to imagine it. You can plan for it. But it doesn't completely click until you're there and your friends are in front of you. It was probably close to 7:30 at that point. With the mid-spring days staying lighter later, it felt much earlier than it was. I found a local pub in Kennesaw called Marlowe's Tavern and picked out a corner booth. For a Thursday night, it was pretty crowded and had what I assumed was an office party dinner in the larger open room. Due to the crowds, my meal took longer than expected. The waiter brought me a grilled chicken sandwich that I devoured before he had a chance to return with a small cup of barbecue sauce for my fries. I sat in the dimly lit space watching people hovering around the bar and talking from their tables. Having had a taste of what awaited me that weekend only an hour earlier in the lobby, I used that dinner to unwind from the 7-hour drive, from the madness of the Atlanta area traffic, and from everything that it took to get me to my destination, as well as into that booth that evening. Before I paid the bill, I had decided I would skip going to Jason's for Rogue One Under the Stars. I didn't know how long the event would last and figured it would be done by 10 p.m. And I still had to go back to my room and shower. The endless momentum of the day was finally catching up with me, and I figured I would sacrifice going out that night in order to get a good sleep to be ready for the Friday morning collector's hike up the Kennesaw Mountain. That was my intention. It was a mature and fully reasonable idea, and it made perfect sense. However, that's not how the evening went at all, and I'm so thankful for what came next. The sun finally had set. Back in the hotel parking lot, I was deep in thought about what I needed to do to get ready for the next morning's hike. As I approached the lobby's entrance, I passed a small group of men and women taking a cigarette break and chatting in the stillness of the evening. I didn't recognize them, and the walkway was too dimly lit to see the details of their faces. But they recognized me. One of the guys stopped me and said my name. It was Brandon Vise, a modern Star Wars prototype collector from Arizona, and the creator of the Prototype Archives webpage. Brandon's voice caught me off guard and broke me out of my train of thought. I stood in front of him for a second, completely surprised to see him. Brandon and I have been friends for years now, but we never met in person, and we have been looking forward to being in the same room for the first time in Georgia. Next to him were the clan of 4 who had traveled all the way from Sweden to attend the event. I was reunited with Matthias Rendall, the author of the Kenner pre-production guidebooks A New Proof and The Chromalin Strikes Back, and met his girlfriend Anna for the first time. And I introduced myself to longtime collector and tattoo artist Daniel Bornheim and his wife Mia. After a few minutes of speaking with them, I met 2 other longtime friends for the first time in person as well. Arizona-based collectors Paul Konatsky and Don Henderson walked through the entrance doors of the lobby to meet up with Brandon. The Arizona guys and the Swedes were heading over to Jason's house for Rogue One Under the Stars. However tired I was feeling after dinner completely disappeared after speaking to my friends, and I was recharged and ready to continue this evening with them. I told them I'd meet them at Jason's and ran up to my room to clean up and to get changed. It's 9:30. It's been a whirlwind of a day, but I feel like it's actually just starting. So I was coming back to the hotel room just to kind of clean up and get stuff done after I ate dinner, and I ran into Brandon Vise and Matthias Rendell and a whole group of people standing outside talking. I was in my own little world, and they stopped me, and it was the best surprise. And then Paul Konatsky and Don Henderson came out to join them. So they're heading over to Jason's, and I just decided, okay, I'm going to throw a sweatshirt on and head out as well, too. So, and it just hit me. It hit me that I'm going on a hike tomorrow. It hit me that I'm probably going to be seeing people. I'm meeting Jason Wasuko for the first time tonight because I'm going to his house. I'm probably going to see Narayan and Glenn again. And I honestly don't even know who's going to be over there. But I'm glad to know that a lot of people are going over. And what seemed to be in my mind is maybe an earlier night to get a good sleep and get ready for the weekend went out the window pretty quickly. So let's see where this goes. Jason lives 10 minutes from the hotel. I parked on a side street and was pleasantly surprised by the number of cars that lined the street leading into his cul-de-sac. Although it was too dark to see which house was his, I walked toward the cul-de-sac in the hopes of somehow finding his house number. Okay, it's almost 10 o'clock. I'm here at Jason's house, and as I pulled up, it was really nice to see that there are a number of cars here. And, a lot of people turned up, which is great. It's quiet here. So as I said, I'm looking forward to meeting him in person. I have no idea who I'm going to see, and I'm just so excited. I forgot they're watching Rogue One. Jason's driveway is lit up. I can hear the movie. This is ridiculously exciting, and it feels like I'm walking into a movie too, which is amazing. At first, I didn't know which one was his house because it's really dark, but I'm just following the cars and the music. As John Williams' score grew louder, I climbed Jason's driveway, which was outlined by strings of running lights overhead. I passed his open garage, which showcased Star Wars dioramas of a Star Destroyer and a cantina. Next to the garage was a table with a Rogue Fun banner in its pink and orange colors. A sign bearing the Georgia Club's logo greeted guests at the entrance to the backyard. The music crescendoed, and the action of a scene from Rogue One played out before me on a screen in his backyard. Some of the attendees reclined in a mix of slope-back lawn chairs, cushioned couches, and nylon camping seats, fixated on the film. A long string of lights stretched across the lawn and ran in the form of a V from the house, above the movie screen and around one of the many trees that served as a backdrop in Jason's backyard. Behind the audience of movie viewers was a table with cups, ice, and various alcoholic beverages. Grey Goose bottles sat next to 6-packs of Budweiser, and a wide plastic container held single cans of Truly, Stella, Blue Moon, and other drinks Jason and the attendees provided for the evening. I stepped onto the deck and was greeted by Thomas and Michael Stewart, two longtime collectors from the West Coast and members of the Seattle Sarlacc Collectors Club. After 4 years of knowing Jason, I finally had the chance to meet him in person and to speak with him face to face. Glenn Williams also saw me and ran over to give me a huge hug. Recounting moments like this are always a bit blurry, but I was able to speak to so many collectors, to reunite with longtime friends, to meet some like Jason for the first time in person, and to make new friends while standing on his patio. Jason took me inside for a personal tour of his collection room. I've seen images of it many times over the years, as he has recorded his portion of the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast with Glenn from the location, with rows of carded figures as his backdrop. But to be able to see it in person was incredibly impressive. It began with a display of his 1990s Star Wars Micro Machines run. Stepping into the collection room was overwhelming. Stacks of carded figures lined the walls and were perched on hangers on store-like end caps on various locations on the floor. A massive X-Wing fighter floated from the ceiling, hanging from nearly invisible fishing lines. A green Episode 1 Pepsi display bearing the face of the lovable Jar Jar Binks rested in a corner, under a Boba Fett helmet and behind a stack of organized vehicles and playsets from the vintage collection. A huge Solo poster bearing the name Chewie was mounted over a gray plush couch, which was home to an R2-D2-shaped pillow. Against the back wall were two brightly lit glass cabinets. The one on the right brandished a Star Wars shelf talker with the iconic silver racetrack logo. It featured the Kenner figures on a clear acrylic staircase stand, along with some loose vehicles and some of the smaller playsets, like Jabba the Hutt. One shelf contained carded figures from Star Wars and Return of the Jedi, with a Luke Jedi figure in the center. Along the bottom shelf was a Dagobah playset, the Kellerman collector book, and some of the lunch boxes and birthday party decorations from that era. The case on the left was my favorite. The top three shelves highlighted the Micro Machines line and contained pre-production and prototype examples. The spotlight piece was a hand-painted hard copy of the Emperor's Royal Guard helmet that unfolded to reveal the interior of the Emperor's throne room from Return of the Jedi. Jason had created a placard for each item, a museum-like note card that explained what each prototype was and its significance. As someone who loves the history and the process behind the toys, I really enjoyed reading each one. In a display like Jason's, the placards are incredibly helpful in teaching others about the pieces and why they're worth collecting. On the fourth shelf was a run of the Black Series Han Solo figure from The Force Awakens. The run featured one of the earliest pieces in the process to surface, a green-bodied Han, and moving left, one could see the evolution of the figure to the final production version. Jason also had original artwork from the Micro Machines line, as well as first-shot prototypes for the recent Micro Galaxy ships from Jazzwares. Taking a personal tour of Jason's collection was like visiting a friend's house as a child for the first time. He spoke with such passion, and was happy to answer any question I had. We admired his prototypes together, laughed together over some of the more fun pieces in his collection, and swapped collecting stories along the way. As I listened to him, I was at once thankful we were finally in the same room together. I was also proud of him, that he had dreamt up a weekend that would cause our friends from different areas of the world to meet up in Kennesaw. And together, we were seeing the buds of his efforts begin to bloom. We soon returned outside, into the backyard. Cassian Andor and Jyn Erso loomed amongst the trees, as the early rebellion ran and soared across the beaches of Scarif. Jason brought me over to his garage, where he showed me the custom modular cantina he created for the 6-inch scale Black Series figure line. A pink and orange Rogue Fun poster sat on a table just outside the garage. Attendees to Jason's evening event had signed the poster, so I grabbed a pen and added my name to it as well. At that point, Glenn and Orion joined us. We stood under the garage light, surrounded by the sounds of nature, talking, catching up, and celebrating the first night of Rogue Fun. It is the witching hour. It is 11:47, and I am standing here with two of the coolest guys in the community, Glenn Williams and Jason Wasuko. Finally. So, Jason, so far, has this surpassed your expectations for what you were planning and expecting?
Yes, it's been a great night. I've met a lot of new people for the first time, and to meet them at my place has been very convenient for me. But it's disarming. It's great to see them and to meet them and for them to see what I'm all about with my collecting, which is great. A lot of people, they didn't know who I was, because I'm kind of new in the community. So for them to come into my place, see my room, and check things out, it's been pretty special.
And there's something really nice about taking somebody into your collection room and showing them a piece of you and a piece of your passion too. So what were the responses? Like, you saw my response to it, but what were some of the responses that you got from it?
Yeah, so to be honest, a lot of my stuff is production, and a lot of my stuff, the special items, I'll call it, are the pre-production Galoob, Action Fleet micro machines, which traditionally people don't care about. If they cared about it, it would be more expensive, it would be more difficult to capture, to find, and to buy. So I just assumed people didn't care, but when they see it in the collection room, see everything together, they're just blown away. And that's really been surprising to me that, this stuff really is cool. People do care about it. It's been awesome.
I think when you take stuff that maybe people aren't as familiar with, or it's not on their radar, and you present it in a way too, because you have these little placards that explain what each item is. You have it arranged in a beautiful way, so like I'm sure people had to be really impressed with that. But it just what's the feeling of taking somebody through your collection?
It's kind of.
Is it nerve-wracking or is it more exciting?
It's not nerve-wracking. It's always like, where do I start? What do they know about? What don't they know about? Like, where's the starting point when taking someone through my collection? Do they know anything about micro machines? Like I was explaining to you, Calco, which is the subsidiary. Like, who knows? That's a subsidiary of Galoob. They did all the QC stuff. So it's like, who knows about that? Do I need to explain that to people? Do they know about that?
But that's the kind of stuff that we collectors love, to see somebody's collection and then to learn new things that we didn't know before. I'll never forget that now because you took me through that. But that's great. And as far as the turnout, you have people hanging out in the backyard, and you said to me earlier that that this was kind of a different experience for you.
Yeah. So whenever we do this, it's usually just the family, 5 of us. We've got a popcorn machine. We've got s'mores. It's not my first rodeo. I've done this before. The only thing that's really been weird is the DVD player stopped working. Stopped audio in the middle, which is kind of disappointing because I run a professional outfit here, so I don't know what's going on. I'm embarrassed. But to have this many people here, we expected 35. My wife said at one point she counted 45.
Wow.
Which is just mind-blowing. The movie ended about an hour and a half ago. People are still hanging out, chilling, talking, drinking, having fun. Like, it's great. I didn't think when I did this that it would be like an international collectors event. It's just like people come on over, watch a movie. This has turned into like an international collector's
You have
event.
people from Canada, from Sweden, from many different states. It's a big turnout.
Yes.
Glenn, were you as surprised as Jason was for the turnout for tonight and how everything went?
It is shocking when you talk to somebody that's from Sweden and are like, oh, yeah, we're only spending like 5 days in Atlanta, and this is why we're here. Yeah. So it was definitely eye-opening. We got people from Canada. We had five or six people come down from Canada.
Yes.
So, yeah, it definitely is. It's shocking the amount of people that showed up.
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to what you guys have done. And we now have Narayan joining us as well. Hello, Narayan.
Hey, what's going on?
So we were just talking about a little event called Rogue Fun that is happening. I don't know if you're...
What is that?
Yeah, you should come. I think you'd enjoy it. But you're right. Like, Glenn, you were saying, like, the turnout is really incredible. And I think it's a testament to what you guys have done, where you've given everyone a reason to come together, and from places, again, like Sweden, and from Canada, and from Arizona, and from all these different locations. Yeah. And people came willingly and excitedly. What's the thing you're most looking forward to this weekend?
Probably, I'm looking forward to Tim Effler's presentation, and then probably room sales.
Okay.
Because you keep talking it up, and I'm waiting to see. You're building my expectations for room sales.
I'm just saying, there's stuff already in the rooms right now that are pretty good, and yeah. I dug deep and I brought some pretty good stuff too. Yeah. So, Narayan, what are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking just forward to hanging out. Stuff like tonight is like, this is what I live for.
Goodbye,
just to see you guys.
All right, boys. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
And catch up. In a relaxed setting. Yeah. That's, to me, if the whole weekend was just like this, it'd be totally fine. If we had no panel,
this is nice for you because
so,
you're not planning anything right now. This is just
true. But it'll be like this tomorrow night too. Yeah. So, because you know what, it's like I'm not worried. It's the details are details, but people just hanging out, having fun, being
Just having a good time.
Just having a good time. Yeah. That's all it's all about. It's rogue fun.
And really, that's what you guys brought for the first, because for me, when I came in, like, it was just, Glenn saw me and came bounding down the stairs, and we just gave me a huge bear hug, and just getting, like, I felt like I was just kind of hugging people all night and just laughing and talking and just, you know, patting people on the back and just saying, I can't believe, like, we're all here. So that, I want to continue with that.
Yeah. Thrilled that everyone is just able to make it, and it's, you know, it's kind of a dream come true for the club. So
Yeah, and you guys are doing it absolutely right, too. I mean, there is a true buzz. I was talking to a friend today who said he couldn't sleep, you know, again last night. Like, he's just so excited. And I talked to another friend who, he said that, you know, he's been counting down the days for weeks. So, and it's here.
Right.
I can't believe it.
So what are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to room sales because I've heard the stories of, like, the celebration room sales where people brought out proof cards and stuff. And it sounds like from what you're promoting is that there's a lot here.
I hope I'm right, but I'm just saying, people I've talked to, I mean, there's stuff showing up.
Maybe there'll be real room sales after room sale-ioki.
Yes.
Maybe.
If people are sober enough and able to stand them. Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's midnight and people are still partying, dude.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to end anytime soon.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
I think it's a good sign for the weekend.
No, it absolutely, and just the pure joy, you know, and the connection of people being here and just getting to meet everybody is definitely the best part. You guys all said that when we had our discussion a few weeks ago, but you guys are absolutely right. Like, just being in this location, having this beautiful weather too.
Yeah.
Standing. We're in the forest of Endor. Is that how this
feels like it?
Pretty cool.
Yeah, I do. I had a surreal moment tonight because I looked up and, like, my wife is talking to you and Gus Lopez, and I'm like, holy smokes!
You know,
it's just like
speaker right now.
Boom! You know, like
this is the kind of world that we're living in right now, where it's like
where it's just like there's my wife with Gus Lopez and you guys, and he's showing you guys pictures of his trips, and I'm just like it's like that's the world you're living in, where my wife can talk to, like, this really awesome collector, you know, a staple in the community, and it's just like it's nothing.
And I think that's another big thing too that I'm seeing here is there aren't cliques. Like, there are people who are catching up because they haven't seen one another, but everybody is completely open. And I see this when we have, like, you know, the different club events or group events or whatever. But if you're a collector out there and you have never been to a meetup, like, go. People will talk to you. Jason, just the fact that you opened your house tonight like this, I mean, this is the most welcoming, and I feel like I'm at a family reunion. And I know, I think I said that to you guys when we were talking, but it really does. And so it's just nice. Do you think you'll sleep tonight?
No, but I need to. I need to sleep fast because we got a lot to do tomorrow.
Absolutely. And we're going on. I think I'm the most excited for the hike. Like, out of anybody in the world right now. I keep talking about the hike because I love it.
Here, Matthias is going on this hike.
Uh-oh. Is he going to sober up?
You're going to have to ask him that.
It's not water.
You're going to have to ask Chris G about Matthias and his scheduling for celebration.
Yes. So
how they schedule his collecting track panels.
I don't know if it'll be interesting to see who makes it tomorrow.
Right.
That's at noon. So
someone's saying they're going to come and actually making it. That's two different things.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. So when all this, when this weekend, the Rogue Fun is over, when do you think you'll start to kind of come down from it? Because I know, it's constantly going and planning.
I don't know. I've still got a few days vacation after that, so I'm glad I did that. So, but we'll see. I mean, heck, I hope it's, it's an energizing weekend. Because, you just think it, sometimes there's been a bit of, a lull in the hobby lately, which is, and so hopefully this brings some new energy in. So
I've seen that happen with certain meetups and stuff where it's almost supercharged the community for a while, which is good. And I think just the fact that people are able to come together like this, and I've just tonight alone, I've met probably 10 12 people that I've never met before, that I've been looking forward to meeting, including Jason. So that worked out nicely. But hello, Ralph. How are you doing?
David. How are you?
Doing okay. Did you enjoy your first night at Rogue Fun?
Yeah, it was great. Seeing a bunch of friends, meeting some new friends. It's been really good.
Was there anybody in particular that you met tonight that you hadn't known in the past?
Not really. I've pretty much... There are a couple of people I haven't met yet that I want to meet. I just don't know who they are, and we'll eventually get together and be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah, you'll find yourself in a conversation with them, and not even, just a random...
There's a couple of people
point.
Came up to me and like, oh, you're Ralph DeZoza. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know who you are. Sorry.
I think they've seen your Stormtrooper car, that's what.
Yeah. That's probably it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That makes you realize how big an impact you have on the community when people are like, hey, Ralph, or hey, Glenn, or hey, David, and you're like, I have no clue who you are. So it's like, it blows your mind how big of an impact you have.
Especially at Celebration when you have people coming up to you swagger like, Ralph, Narayan, and you're like, how do you know me?
Right.
No, it's a wonderful feeling. Right. What are you most excited about for the weekend?
Spending time with friends.
Pretty good answer. Yeah. I was going to say more specifically, but I can't argue that. But okay, let's take that out for a second because we're all looking forward to hanging out. Like, what activity or what moment are you most excited to explore?
I'm looking forward to the panels. I'm looking forward to go back to Narayan's, being here tonight.
So everything.
Yeah, everything. I'm easy.
I can't argue with you on that because every moment of this is just going to be fantastic. Yeah, it really is.
Exactly.
It has the feeling. What you guys are putting together has the feeling of something that is very special before it even started. And I think tonight is just kind of a nod that you guys are in the right direction. Yeah. So very
awesome.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, cool. All right. So I guess this is it for now. And then tomorrow we start with the hike. So we'll see all of you there for the hike.
Yeah, sure. Not me. Bright and early.
and then we're going to your house, Narayan. So how far along are you in the planning for your house?
Oh, I just got started. What?
Okay.
There's something in my house?
Oh, yeah, no, let me tell you. So there's about 150 people coming over tomorrow, so get ready for it. Yeah.
Oh, Narayan just cursed. Yes.
Yay, Narayan just cursed. Mandy. No, come on in. So...
I knew it was probably from something.
What are you most looking forward to this weekend?
Folks, I'm on my way out. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay.
Meeting all the new people that I've never met before. And yeah.
What are you most looking for? This is Dave Brott. Dave Brott, what are you looking for?
Dave Brott, Cincinnati, Ohio. Mostly looking forward to hanging out with friends and getting all Narayan's cool swag.
Are you going on the hike tomorrow?
And I'm in on it too. I plan to, but we'll see how the sleeping goes.
It's super early. It's going to be noon. So
noon? Oh, God. I don't know if I could get up at the crack of noon. We'll see. Yeah.
All right. Joel Slater, what are you looking forward to?
Well, we already talked earlier, and at this point, I don't know. I'm just going to see what the weekend brings for me.
Okay, will you be up for the hike?
No.
Okay.
I was honest.
No,
Toby,
not doing the hike.
I'm with Joel. We've been doing Angel Dust since 2 o'clock this afternoon. So, we're gonna go back to the hotel. A little bit of heroin, nothing too heavy, and just call it a night.
Right.
Your average Star Wars collector.
No, and that's a good way of doing it, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Jokes, people, jokes.
well, jokes for Joel, but
we got to do this ascension here.
Okay.
Yes. Mount Wasoko, here we go.
Yeah, nice and easy. We got this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wish you guys all the best.
You have a lovely sleep.
Looking tomorrow.
You got this.
By 1 o'clock that morning, the crowd had dwindled down to a handful of collectors. I said goodnight to Jason, Glenn, Narayan, and those who remained, and headed back to the hotel. Brandon, Don, and Paul greeted me in the lobby, and we were joined by California collector Alon Bartlett. Don had emptied the contents of his backpack onto a coffee table. Before us were a number of prototypes, and as I scanned them, my eyes widened. Jumping back about a week or two before the event, I had been talking to a friend that I met through the podcast, Alan Roy. Alan is a die-hard Star Wars fan from Scotland who had joined his local 501st Troop. He started collecting vintage and modern Star Wars figures, and in his spare time constructed masks and costumes for the cosplay and charity events. Alan largely trooped as a shore trooper. But recently, he had created a costume based on the Tusken Raider Jedi, Sharad Head. And while he was able to find a Black Series first shot of the shore trooper, he asked me if I had ever seen any prototypes or pre-production examples of Sharad Head. Head had been released by Hasbro in 2008 as part of an expanded universe comic 2-pack with a pre-Clone Wars Ki-Adi-Mundi figure. I told Alan I would help him try to find a Sharad Head. But very few prototypes actually surface, and to find one for a specific figure could take years. But as I sat around the table in the lobby, I was shocked to see not one, but 2 multicolored Sharad Head prototypes in Don's possession. The figures came with the iconic Tusken Gaffi stick and a lightsaber. And each Sharad Head had a removable Tusken Raider mask. I told Don that I had a potential buyer for him and immediately reached out to Alan to put the 2 in contact. I've said this in the past, but as exciting as it is to land something for my personal collection, I find it equally rewarding to be able to help a friend add a special piece. And the moment was a double blessing, as I was able to help Don complete a sale of items he brought at the start of the weekend, giving him funds to buy items for his collection during the event. The 4 of us talked about modern Star Wars prototypes and collecting for the next hour and a half. I ran up to my room at some point and brought down a container or 2 of prototypes. We discussed the history of the various pieces, examining one as a group as to determine its authenticity. And we talked and laughed together. I had known each of them for years at that point, and yet it was the first time I had been in the same room with the Arizona crew. A part of it felt surreal, like a thought that had somehow materialized and brought the 5 of us thousands of miles to one location in one moment. And yet, it also felt like something I had done with them many times before, and I thoroughly enjoyed their company. Don, Paul, and Brandon have known each other for years, and I love the casual humor they interjected during our conversations. I knew this would be the first of many modern Star Wars prototype chats we'd have during the weekend, and I looked forward to the rest of them. Finally, realizing we all needed to get at least a few hours of sleep, the 5 of us said goodnight and headed to our respective rooms, putting a cap on what had been a memorable first night in Georgia.
Okay, it is now officially Friday morning, although still hanging out from Thursday night. I went to Jason Wasuko's house, and it was fantastic. It was a really, really great time. A lot of people showed up, and we just got to really kind of catch up, and I don't know, it just felt very special. Afterwards, we came back here, and a handful of the modern prototype collectors and I just sat downstairs, and, we just talked, and we shared a few items, and took a look at some prototypes and stuff. And it is now 2:30 in the morning. I was not expecting to stay up this late, but we're just having a really good time. So it was me, Brandon Weiss, Don Henderson, Paul Konotsky, Alon Bartlett, and I think that was it. But we had a really nice time, really great conversations talking about, the different prototypes, ones that exist, ones that we're hunting, and then, getting to look at a few and kind of, talking over some pieces that either, we knew what they were, or we were trying to figure out what they were. It was a lot of fun. So I'm just cleaning up my room now, getting everything put away that I've had out, and I am going to bed. So night 1 has been a total success. I said to Jason and Shannon tonight that if this were to end right now and Rogue Fun wasn't able to happen tomorrow or this weekend, that what we had tonight and today would have been enough. And that was even before coming back and hanging out with the modern Star Wars prototype guys too, and that really added to it. But it's nice when the first night is such a success that you don't really need anything else. And so everything else now is a bonus. It's a welcome bonus. And so I think I'll get a good sleep after a long drive today and hanging out and getting to see everybody. But this has already exceeded my wildest expectations, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow, to Saturday, and Sunday. So I'll be reporting more from the event as it goes on, but I had to share this before I went to bed. So if what I'm saying resonates with you and you want to come out to an event and to a meetup, I know I always say this, but take that risk, take that chance, come out, get to know people. There's some really great collectors and great people in the hobby, and we're blessed to have a community that is as just welcoming to everybody. I mean, I saw it tonight. People that had never met before all of a sudden connected and wound up talking, for a half hour. And it just, you see that, and it's all different types of collectors and all different interests. And man, I wouldn't trade this for the world right now. So looking forward to the rest of Rogue Fun.
Thank you for joining me for the first part of our return to Rogue Fun. The trip was one of my all-time favorites. From the moment we arrived to Kennesaw, it seemed like the essence of Rogue Fun resonated deeply with each attendee. And everyone was willing to do their part to make it something special. Whether it was to create swag commemorating the weekend, or by being present and supportive at every activity, or just by connecting with those around them in meaningful and thoughtful ways, each person had an immense impact on the event's success. Leading up to Rogue Fun, the Georgia team promoted it with playful takes on the Rogue One posters and layouts. Through the use of color, a lot of the Scarif and Summer designs emphasized the fun of the event. And there was a sense of joy that constantly bled through and defined the first moments in Kennesaw. From the hangouts in the hotel lobby on Thursday to the nighttime meetup at Jason's house. And that fun and excitement continued throughout the weekend, making it a truly unforgettable experience. Originally, I had planned to do an in-depth series about Rogue Fun shortly after I came back from my trip. However, I had a pretty steady stream of episodes I was producing at the time, which included each of the 5 presentations in full from Saturday's event. The panels were so well done and covered a variety of fascinating Star Wars topics. And I wanted to share them with you first. So in between Sunday releases of the podcast, I published a Rogue Fun panel episode every Wednesday for 5 weeks, beginning at the end of May. And while those panels were a part of Saturday's main event in the ballroom on May the 4th, 2024, they didn't tell the entire story of Rogue Fun. And the experience was so great and so positive that I wanted to relay that fuller story to you. But I needed time away from it to do so. When I came home from Georgia that week, the trip was a blur. It was an overload of experiences and conversations and moments. And my brain hadn't had a chance to process any of it. And the problem was, the pace of the second half of the year never relented. There were more meetups and toy trips, and I felt like I was traveling somewhere every weekend. Life was enjoyably hectic for a while. And tackling a project like this, trying to tell the chronological story of a collector's trip in a podcast series, takes a lot of time. Time to think. Time to reflect. Time to remember. And once the year wrapped up and a new one began, I finally had the time to work on the series. And I aim to release it in May, to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of Rogue Fun. So this is only part 1. I have some great surprises for you, and I've asked those who attended and who developed the event to share some of their memories from it as well. And all of us hope you'll join us for the next one in 2026. Okay, I have some work to do if we're going to head back to Georgia for day 2 of the event. And I look forward to taking you through the rest of Rogue Fun here on Star Wars, Prototypes and Production.